Violent crime and its causes. When someone commits a violent act, at least most of the time, they make a conscious decision to commit the act they are doing. However, there are many factors out of one's control that may put them in a position to commit a harmful act. This is not to justify violent acts, but to better understand them. Better understanding the causes of violent crime will lead to solutions that can help prevent it. A person's environment has a huge role in determining whether they will become a violent criminal. Particularly, factors that take effect during early childhood have a significant impact. Violent abuse is a serious detriment to a child's development. An abused child is more inclined to struggle emotionally, socially, and economically, all risk factors that can lead to violent crime. The exposure to neurotoxins, such as lead, in early childhood is another risk factor for crime. Significant exposure to lead can create behavioral problems in children. Outside of one's childhood environment, those who live in an impoverished environment are more likely to commit violent crime. This is not to say poor people are criminals. Rather, in an impoverished community, there is a lack of resources and a lack of ways to acquire resources. In turn, some commit harmful and potentially violent acts in order to gain resources. Examples include robbery and participation in the drug trade, both of which can lead to violent situations. Ultimately, one's environment can shape a person, even turning them into a criminal. Besides environmental factors, genetics also play a huge role in causing violent or harmful acts. People with improper brain function, such as those who struggle with mental illness, are more susceptible to violent behavior. Those with antisocial personality disorder generally lack empathy towards others and see other people as puzzle pieces. In fact, many serial killers have antisocial personality disorder. Those with other mental health disorders, such as schizophrenia or substance abuse disorders, may be more prone to violent acts. Those with schizophrenia struggle with reality, and those with severe and untreated symptoms may turn aggressive if they believe someone is trying to harm them, even if no one is. Those with substance abuse disorders also may be more likely to commit violent acts, especially if their drug of choice is a disinhibiting substance, such as alcohol. Those under the influence of alcohol are more prone to aggression and have less impulse control. Further, an alcohol addiction can lead to poverty, another risk factor in violent acts. This is not to stigmatize people who struggle with these disorders. Most people with mental health disorders aren't violent. Even if someone with a mental health disorder is violent, helping to cure their disorder is the best way to prevent these violent acts. Other genetic factors can lead to violent crime. For example, those who are conventionally unattractive are more likely to struggle with acquiring social and economic opportunities. Increased poverty and increased social isolation among a population unfortunately may make that population more susceptible to committing violent acts, although rarely. Ultimately, genetic factors can play a huge role in one's actions. Whether due to environmental factors or genetic factors, violent crime doesn't rely solely on the decision-making of an individual. Ultimately, the best way to reduce violent crime is to help alleviate these problems and come up with solutions. More laws protecting children from abuse could be passed. Awareness of neurotoxins commonly found in household objects could be spread. There should be an increase in public assistance for those who struggle economically. For example, public health care would be helpful. More funding and research for mental health causes would be helpful. Ultimately, treating those who are on the fringe of society with more empathy would not only reduce violent crime, but also improve many people's lives. Those who struggle with a poor environment or poor genetic factors would be happier. The rest of the population would get the opportunity to interact with people that they usually wouldn't,